Samar Island is the third largest island in the Philippines and has one of the most extensive forest over limestone ecosystems in the country. This ecosystem is home to a wide array of uniquely adapted flora and fauna. Samar Island is known to be one of the centers of botanical diversity in the Philippines and has been nominated as a UNESCO World Natural Heritage Site for its exceptional natural beauty and precious biodiversity. For these reasons, Conserve Kaigangan, a biodiversity research program, was established. Kaigangan is a Samar local word that means forest over limestone. Our research program's mission is to assess and conserve the biodiversity in Samar Island's forest over limestone towards its sustainable management. One of our program's projects is the assessment of biodiversity and community structure in forest over limestone ecosystems. This component of our research aims to determine plant diversity and vegetation structure in various habitat types in forests over limestone, to determine animal diversity associated with forest over limestone, to identify functional classification of vegetation with its associated animal diversity, and to analyze the environmental factors influencing the prevailing structure of the biota. We conducted a comprehensive biodiversity assessment of forests over limestone in the municipalities of Paranas, Taft, and Giwan with remarkable findings. A combined total of 71 plant species were recorded from these municipalities, with at least 3 tree species classified as vulnerable based on the DENR updated national list of threatened Philippine plants. A total of 52 terrestrial vertebrate animal species were also recorded, including 5 amphibian species, 15 reptile species, 20 bird species, and 12 mammal species, with conservation statuses ranging from threatened to endangered and critically endangered, based on the DENR updated national list of threatened Philippine fauna. This knowledge will empower our stakeholders in these areas to make appropriate research-based conservation efforts for the protection of these ecosystems that harbor an assemblage of rare, endemic, and economically important flora and fauna. Through this program, people will be equipped with knowledge on forests over limestone biodiversity, including the ecosystem services that it can offer to the community. We at Conserve Kaigangan continue to further raise awareness and capacitate national and local government agencies, especially local communities living in and around Samar's Kaigangan.
Hello everyone, welcome to Kaigangan Biodiversity Webinar Series. In March 2022, Ms. Elaine presented about the biodiversity of forests over limestone in Samar Island Natural Park, or also known as the SINP. Her study aimed to provide information on the outcomes of the plant and animal biodiversity in SINP. Second, to describe the tree community structure in SINP. Third, to highlight the significance of the nomination of SINP as a UNESCO Natural Heritage Site. This was conducted specifically in Paranas and Taft, Eastern Samar, a province in the Philippines located in the Eastern Visayas region. Some of the highlight of the results of her study are the identification of some ecologically important amphibians, for example, the Philippine endemic Platymantis guentheri. In terms of reptiles, a very interesting one example is the Lycodon dumerili, which exhibits a widespread distribution and has been documented throughout the Mindanao Paeg, or the Pleistocene Aggregate Island Complex. Ms. Elaine discussed also about her interesting findings on birds, for example, the Bucerus hydrocorax semigaleatus, also known as the Philippine hornbill, a large species of hornbill endemic to the Philippines. In terms of flora, she found this new island record species, for example, the Tectaria calcarea, a fern or herb species with native range in the Philippines. Overall, Ms. Elaine emphasized that SINP is indeed worthy of its nomination as a UNESCO Natural Heritage Site because of its natural and cultural significance. The following month, Ms. Ren D. Obenya successfully presented a very good study on some threatened woody plant species of forests of the limestone in the Philippine Islands. The study determined the threatened woody plant species in the forests of the limestone in the Philippines and discussed the threats of the forests of the limestone in the country. And of course, Samar Island is one of her study sites in addition to Cebu and Batangas sites. Ms. Ren presented the list of critically endangered species based on the Philippine DAO Red List and the IUCN Red List. She also made an emphasis on economic uses of some of the identified threatened woody plant species in her study sites, for example, the Shiraya nigrocensis, a Philippine endemic dipterocarp species, and our very own Tectona philippinensis with known natural populations in Batangas and in Mindoro. The third one is the Aquilaria cumingiana, a source of agarwood, a highly prized resin with many economic values. And the fourth example is the Hopea philippinensis, which is also a Philippine endemic dipterocarp species. Part of the study is the identification of threats and conservation concerns in the study site. For example, the limestone quarrying, deforestation, illegal logging, among others. Ms. Ren concluded the presentation by highlighting the potential contribution of her study to sustainable development goals. In May 2022, UPLB Assistant Professor Desamarie Antoinette Fernandez gave us new insights into biodiversity of forests over limestone in Caloocan Island, Guiuan, Eastern Samar, Philippines. She also did biodiversity assessment in the study site for both flora and fauna. Interestingly, Assistant Professor Fernandez recorded 41 plant species belonging to 18 families, of which 5 species are Philippine endemics, 9 threatened species based on the IUCN Red List, and 5 threatened species based on the DAO 2017-11 Red List. And these are some of the photographs of the plant species she identified. Walachodendron salabicum, which is locally known as banuyo, Aquilaria cumingiana, which is one of the agarwood-producing Aquilaria species found in the Philippines, and Hansea wenzeliana, also one of the identified endangered species based on the IUCN Red List. For fauna component, 21 vertebrate species were recorded, of which 6 are documented throughout the Mindanao Paeg or the Pleistocene Aggregate Island Complex. And here are some of the photographs of the vertebrate species he recorded from the study site. Just last month, we learned a lot from UPLB Assistant Professor Marjorie de Los Angeles, who discussed about the ecology of understory plants of forest over limestone in Samar Island, Philippines. She documented plant understory species in forest over limestones and described the pattern of plant distribution with reference to ecological parameters using multivariate tools in Paranas, Taft, and Giwan, Samar. Assistant Professor Marjorie recorded 26 understory floral species divided into 21 flowering species and 6 fern species. Part of her study is to determine the species richness and diversity indices of Paranas, Taft, and Giwan. In addition, she found that the understory plant species from Paranas and Taft sites are highly affected by soil iron concentration and electrical conductivity, whereas plants from Giwan are highly associated with soil pH and other macro and micronutrients.
Ayan. Good morning po, everyone. Welcome to our Kaigangan Biodiversity Webinar Series 2024. I'm Lani and I will be your host for today. So before we start, may I ask, sino po dito sa atin ang naka-attend last time with our webinar with Dr. Rosalyn Alburo, which is about breadfruit? So I hope, or we hope that you enjoyed and learned a lot from that episode. So for now, pwede po bang pakistate ng name ninyo sa ating chat box and where you are right now para ma-acknowledge po natin ang inyong presence. Ayan, meron na po dito. Good morning po from Ma'am Lisel Tolosa Orbe. Sorry. Ayan, ang ating pong guest speaker. Good morning po, Dr. Hemres Alburo. And from IBS UPLB, good morning po, Ma'am Eleanor Villaverde. And from Taiwan, good morning po, Kemer Anya Biesa. So, she's a young farmer representative of DA ATI. Ayan. Good morning po, Sir Vernon Ceballos. Ayan, good morning po, everyone. So, for this webinar, so again, welcome to our Kaigangan webinar. Ayan po si Ma'am Cristel Flores from Cebu. Good morning po, Ma'am Cristel. Good morning po, Sir Francis Aguilar from IBS UPLB. Ayan, good morning po. Ayan. So again, welcome to our Conserve Kaigangan Biodiversity webinar. So this webinar happens once or twice a month. So stay tuned to our FB page for the announcement. So I know all of us are excited, but before we begin, we want to remind everyone that this webinar is recorded. So with this, please take note of the following rules for our decorum. So first, kindly keep your microphones muted, especially when our speaker is presenting. Second, if you have questions or clarifications during the presentation, please send your questions in our chat box and we will acknowledge it during the open forum. And the link to the evaluation form will be provided and e-certificates will be sent after completing the evaluation form. So this will serve as your attendance. And please make sure to write the correct email address so that because it will be the basis for our sending our e-certificates. So now that we've set some ground rules, we can continue with our event. So, let me introduce our speaker. So, ayaw ng ating speaker na mahabang introduction. So, our guest speaker is a professor and chair of the Environmental Science and section head of the Non-Timber Forest Products Biodiversity, Environment and Natural Resources Research Center of Cebu Technological University, Argao Campus. So, let us all welcome Dr. Hemres Alburo to talk about community orchid culture for communities in forest over limestone.
Good morning, everyone. Ako po si Hemres M. Alboro ng Cebu Technological University, Argao Campus. My topic this morning is about community orchid culture for communities in forests over limestone. So we will be discussing about orchids and how communities may be involved in propagating and growing orchids, particularly yung mga native orchids natin sa bansa. So what are orchids? Orchids are a group of plants which belong to a large family called Orchidaceae. So meron po tayong mahigit sa 25,000 na species worldwide, and it is also being added with many thousands of hybrid orchids. So orchids also vary in size. Merong mga maliliit na orchids. Meron din tayong mga malalaki na kung tawagin minsan ay tinatawagan natin na giant orchids. So in terms of where we can find orchids in their natural habitat, so orchids can be found from the lowland to the montane forest. And they are also growing either on the soil kasi meron tayong mga ground orchids. Meron din tayong orchids na tumutubo sa mga rocks, and commonly orchids na makikita natin usually are growing on tree trunks. So why orchids? Bakit ba importante sa atin ang orchids? Ang orchids ay kinoconsider ng marami na importante because one, orchids are beautiful. Orchids are very colorful. So magkaiba-ibang kulay ang mga bulaklak nila. Some orchids also have fragrant flowers, and because of these three attributes, kung ilalump natin for those people who love orchids, makonsider na rin ang orchid growing as a stress reliever. So in our slide here, we have different kinds of orchids that are native to the Philippines. Well, except nitong Dendrobium, no? So we have Phalaenopsis philippinensis, then we have the Renanthera philippinensis, we have the Waling-waling Banda Sanderiana alba, we have a Papupidilum, itong sleeping orchid, Papupidilum philippinensis, and we have itong purple Dendrobium anosmum. They are all native to the Philippines. So, maliban sa kagandahan, mga kulay, everything that an orchid possess, overall, meron ding kino-consider natin na aesthetic and economic value. So, because a lot of people love them, and because they are beautiful and colorful. So, aesthetically, mga orchids ay ginagamit din to beautify the landscape. So, sinasama sila sa mga landscaping projects, and orchids grown in pots usually are also made as decorations for our houses, and also used for decorations for many occasions when orchids are used as cut flowers, kagaya nitong for example Dendrobium, no? So hindi siguro alam ng marami na ang orchids din ay ginagamit sa traditional medicine, and aside from that, ginagamit din ang orchid for food flavoring, particularly with our vanilla orchids. So nung nagka-pandemic, medyo nagbago ang marketing platform natin kasi medyo nag-lockdown, and because of that, very limited yung movement ng mga tao. Yung mga tao na-stress sa virus kasi very contagious and deadly. So many of us became stressed with the pandemic, and with the change of marketing platform na nagiging online yung transactions ng pagtitinda and pagbili ng mga bagay-bagay, kasama na rin doon sa online platform trading yung pagbibinta at pagbibili ng mga orchids. So the pandemic has actually gave rise to fast buying and selling orchids online. So nagiging mas convenient kasi order ka lang from somebody online, tapos bigay mo yung payment, or minsan cash on delivery, you give your address, tapos ilang araw after transaction, darating na sa'yo yung mga orchids na binibili mo online. Although may mga instances din, meron ding mga ng scam, mga orchids, so kawawa yung bumibili na hindi naman peke yung mga type of orchid na yung sinasabi sa mga nagbibinta. So itong nasa screen are actually two of my Facebook friends who are selling orchids online, Philippine native orchids. So I asked some of yung mga ka-transaction ko online kung saan galing yung mga supplies nila. And one told me that depende, meron siyang supplier from Luzon, meron din siyang supplier from the Visayas, meron din siyang supplier from Mindanao. So itong seller na to actually is based in Luzon. So meron din akong nakatransact na based in Mindanao. And yun nga, the source of their plant materials are from different parts of the country. So you see, with the change of marketing platform, mas napapabilis ang transaction, mas napapabilis ang pagbibinta at saka pagbili ng mga halaman. So with this, merong increase in demand for orchids, and because of the increase on demand, yung mga nagko-collect din ay they give even more time to collect kasi yun nga, the assurance of selling yung makukuha nila sa gubat is nandun. So demand creates supply. So yun ang mga nangyayari. So ano ang magiging consequence nito? So ang natural population of orchids natin sa gubat ay syempre negatively affected. So kalaunan madideplete yung natural stocks natin. And if wala tayong gagawin, siguro in the next few years, more and more species of Philippine orchids may be added in the list of threatened species sa bansa. So pag nangyari ito, nako, kawawa naman tayo. We are gifted by nature to have this diversity of orchids, yet we fail to protect this natural beauty. So ano ang gagawin para hindi sila maubos? So we should think of friendly conservation initiative, yet providing small livelihood to host communities. So yun ang isa sa mga iniisip natin na mga communities ay yung communities in forest over limestone areas. Although hindi lang naman ito applicable to areas na merong forest over limestone kasi where orchids are growing, mas maganda na kung doon mismo sila i-propagate. So, the next would be propagation or breeding of commercially important species. Pero sino? So, sino yung magpropagate? So, because of this demand for orchids and nauubos yung mga natural stocks natin, so I think it is more of a concern kung paano natin ma-maintain ang ating natural orchids sa ating mga gubat. So, we have to do an initiative that will try to meet both the conservation need of the species and also of the livelihood needs of the host communities kasi maraming gusto din ng mga orchids. So, sino ba yung bibida dito on the propagation, breeding of commercially important species? So, sa tingin ko, ang mga local government units, yung local government is either a city or a municipality, through their municipal agriculture office or city agriculture office, kasama na rin dito yung mga researchers natin sa state universities through tissue or seed pan culture, and then either the LGU or the SUC will have to partner communities so that people who may be interested to grow orchids can also have an alternative livelihood activity. So, on the conservation aspect, yung mga progenies na ma-produce ng pag-propagate ng mga native orchids natin, in coordination with the NR, they shall also, yung iba, will be used to restock wildlife populations para at least kahit papano madagdagan yung population natin in the wild kasi iilan lang yung tutubo from thousands of seeds ng isang pod ng orchid kasi they need some bacteria, not bacteria but fungi to assist them in germination. So how will the community run if ito ang ating gagawin? So I think hindi lang din basta mag-partner ng mga tao sa community, but we have to think about proper selection of people who may be part of the conservation effort and livelihood development opportunity, no? So, dapat ang tao na masama sa programa ay yung tao na talagang interested kasi for others who may have the expertise, maybe madali lang patubuon yung mga orchids, pero sa mga tao na kulang sa interest, it may be difficult, no? Kasi isipin mo, yung mga maliliit na plants dyan sa center photo, yun yung mga, actually those are dendrobium seedlings, kagagaling lang nila sa bote. So, they are very small. And then yung sa third photo, yun na yun yung mga dendro. Almost 2 years from deflasking. So, dapat matyaga sila na mag-alaga kasi ang liliit. If you don't have the interest really, tatanungin mo sarili mo, mabubuhay ba kaya ito, ang liliit nito. So, dapat yung isasama sa programa ay yung talagang may interest na mag-alaga din ng orchids. And siguro speaking of conservation, kasi native ito, baka may mga hadlang, especially with our law on wildlife, RA 9147, Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act. But the law actually has two sections na nag-a-allow. So Section 17 actually allows for commercial breeding or propagation of wildlife resources, and yung Section 24 specifically allows for conservation, breeding, and propagation of threatened species. Meron lang mga clause, meron ng mga requirements which the DNR will have to look into kung karapat-dapat. But I think it's not much of a problem kasi kung hindi nga natin na-control itong illegal extraction of mga orchids natin from their natural habitat, I think it is more practical to allow entities, maybe LGU or yung mga state universities natin na mag mass propagation ng ating native orchids, yung may magandang characteristics, or maybe use this native species for breeding. Kasi who knows, we will be able to produce good quality hybrids. Ngayon nga, Thailand is very advanced in orchid production. So, ang sa atin sa Pilipinas na Queen of Philippine Orchids na waling-waling or Banda Sanderiana, it is used by Thai breeders in propagating new hybrids. So, ang daming Sanderiana hybrids nila ngayon. So, hindi tayo na-produce, pero sa atin yung ginagamit nilang breeding material, no? So, dapat hindi tayo pahuhuli. So, for DNR, I think it is wiser to, allow LGUs or state universities to propagate selected species of orchids para naman magkaroon din tayo ng sarili nating stocks. We can produce our own new hybrids, and we can also help our communities to establish small business para magkaroon din ng kaunting livelihood ang ating mga kapatid, especially yung mga nasa communities, yung host communities, so kung saan yung mga orchids makikita. So with that in mind, ito yung parang magkikita natin ahead, no? So involving the community in the culture, production, propagation of orchids, of course with the aid of our local government units and state universities. This may sound difficult, but I still consider it a doable strategy. So LGUs blessed with orchids may consider establishing their own laboratory with trained staff. So yung tissue culture, embryo culture laboratory na dati ay we think na very sophisticated, we think na very expensive to establish, meron naman currently na mga practical approach to propagating orchids in sterile environment na hindi ganon kamahal yung investment. And then, of course, the Department of Agriculture, I think we need the LGUs or the SUCs may seek support from the Department of Agriculture. And on the part of DNR, I think the DNR should or may consider this approach to provide alternative livelihood to host communities while conserving native Philippine orchids, whether or not they are in a limestone area. Kasi sabi ko nga kanina, orchids are not just confined in in forest over limestone areas, but they are confined in many different areas other than limestone. So I think those are all for my topic. Happy orchid growing, everyone.
Ayan, thank you very much po, Dr. Alburo, for that very informative and wonderful talk. So I'm sure our participants enjoyed and learned a lot from you. So para po sa ating mga participants, I know you're all excited to ask questions for Dr. Hemres, sir. Pakiki-type na lang po ng ating questions sa ating chat box so we can read them for you. So while you are doing so, sir, meron po, allow me to read some questions here po from our pre-registration. Ayan, parang, though some ay nasagot nyo na, baka gusto nyo lang pong bigyan ng emphasis. Ayan. Unang question po was, what is the big role of orchids in the ecosystem, especially in the limestone forest?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. Actually, ang orchids ay kasama sa ating biodiversity, no? Although specifically they belong to a certain family, Orchidaceae. Pero I think ecologically, ano sila? They're part of the system. Iba yung kanilang growth habit. May mga orchids na sa lupa, mayroong nasa sa rocks, mayroong na sa puno. So basic lang yon, ecologically speaking, they add up to the diversity of species in an ecosystem. Sabi ko rin kanina naman sa presentation na hindi rin lang naman sa forest over limestone areas sila makikita, but actually everywhere. Sa especially no sa Eastern Visayas like Samar, Leyte area na they're under climatic type number 1, where rainfall is very high, no? So they have wet and very wet season. So orchids are actually parang given enough time to grow on specific environments kung saan sila tumutubo. Kasi I've been to some places na kahit na malapit sa dagat, there are different orchids growing on tree trunks na hindi mo actually ma-observe dito sa Cebu kasi iba yung climatic type namin dito sa Cebu. It's type 3 and type 4. So less yung amount of rainfall. So baga they add up to the species richness in a particular site. And aside from that, well, they're flowering plants. So yung mga malalaking bulaklak especially, they add up to the beauty of nature.
Yes. Ayan, thank you very much po, sir, for that. May question na ba? Parang to our participants, if you have questions, pwede po kayo mag-chat sa ating chat box. Ayan. For another question po, sir, Vanilla planifolia is one of the most expensive orchids in the world due to its economic use. So is it possible daw po to produce here in the Philippines or meron naman po yata?
Actually, sa pagkaalam ko, may nagpapatubo na ng mga vanilla orchids dito sa atin. Medyo siguro kailangan ng medyo malamig na lugar siguro to let the kasi ano sila parang climbing. So parang I think they need a mga medyo malalamig konti na lugar. But yes, there are already people growing vanilla in the country. Yeah. May nagtitinda ng mga planting materials online. May kakilala ako na nagtitinda rin ng mga tissue cultured na vanilla.
Okay, sir. So, ayun. Narinig ko na rin to, sir, actually. Parang meron kaming student, graduate student na ito ang kanyang thesis,
Uh,
actually, dissertation. Ayan. Meron po dito, sir, from Sir Vernon Ceballos. Other studies exploring the medicinal uses of our native orchids?
yes, ang orchids naman, though I am not very familiar with what species are used for
Again.
treating any form of ailment, but literature has spoken na maraming medicinal uses yung ibang species ng orchids. Actually, hindi lang naman sa Philippines, but even in other countries, ginagamit talaga sila for medical purposes. But ang ano lang kasi din very common is because they're flowering. So yun, they're used as ornamental plants. But yeah, certainly ginagamit din sila for medical purposes. Pero I have no detailed knowledge on which species is used to specific ailment po.
Thank you, sir. So, from Ma'am Eleanor Villaverde, in connection din po sa question ni Sir Vernon, apart sa pods, ano pa pong parts kaya ang ginagamit for medicinal uses?
Hindi ko po alam specifically kung ano yung mga parts na talagang ginagamit kasi kung i-compare natin sa other plants, depende rin sa plant, depende kasi may iba yung ugat, may iba yung dahon, may iba yung bulaklak. Depende. As I said, may apologies kasi hindi ko ma-detail yung answer kasi wala akong masyadong experience about medical use of orchids po. Sorry po.
Okay po, sir. Siguro po ay halos all parts ng orchids ay pwedeng gamitin if properly studied. Ano po? Ayan.
Siguro po. Oo.
Thank you po, sir. Ayan. So for our last question, sir, though this was mentioned by you po, baka gusto niyo lang pong bigyan ng emphasis din. So what is the best conservation measure against excessive forest product exploitation when it comes to epiphytic plant species?
I think wala akong ibang maisip as of this time but the concept of encouraging our especially yung mga local governments natin no kung for example yung town sa Samar kung saan yung forest over limestone kung ano yung mga orchid species na nandun I think it's wiser for the LGU or to probably collaborate LGU and the Department of Agriculture with DNR of course to select maybe kung ano yung commercially important na species doon and doon tayo magsimula to mass propagate kasi if we're able to uh, propagate using the seed pod isang seed pod ng orchid is thousands yung pwedeng mapatubo no so with that we can meet both conservation and yung livelihood aspect ng pagtitinda ng orchids kasi we can restock the wild. So kung madami kasi if we will rely on the natural process of them germinating on tree trunks or kung anong surfaces, ilan lang yung porsyento na tumutubo in nature. So samantalang if we apply technology using tissue culture and cryoculture techniques, mas mapabilis yung pagdami. And with that, we can probably meet the demand of society kung sino yung mga nangungulekta. At the same time, we can also bring back some of these seedlings go sa wild. Pwede nating, ano. So parang sa akin, ito pa rin ang siguro pinakamadali at pinaka-wise. Although kasi hindi na sabihin natin meron tayong RA 9147, may mga provisions doon na bawal ito, bawal yon. So but I think with what's happening especially with the change of marketing platform ng pagtitinda no ang bilis ng transaction online and yun yung sinabi ko sa presentation ko yung mga napunta ko sa Facebook na may mga providers sila from all around the country, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. So, hindi ito nakokontrol ng department no na concerned on dapat paano siya i-control or i-protect. So, why not do the other approach of like bakit hindi natin ito i-breed or hindi natin siya i-mass propagate and then part of the progenies will be shared to partner associations, community, and then yung iba naman is i-restock natin sa wild para yun nga, we will be meeting both the conservation needs and the commercial, some sort of livelihood opportunities na ma-provide din through our native orchids. And plus, if i-mass propagate natin sila, if we can breed also, we may be creating new varieties, new to the markets, which customers usually would want to also buy and collect.
Okay po, sir. Thank you very much po. Parang may isa pa po ba? Pwede pa pong humabol. Are there government inputs or support in tissue culture, in orchid, and other endangered plant conservation?
Sa pagkaalam ko meron tayong mga government facilities sa lalo na sa Department of Agriculture no na mga facilities but siguro hindi nila kinonsider ang orchids na priority commodity so usually nasa banana tayo ngayon kasi we're one of the biggest exporter of bananas no sa international market so parang nakakonsentrate sa banana and other commodities no na siguro tinatawag nilang high value crops. But then again, I think it's high time na pagbigyan ng pansin itong technology na to na magagamit to mass propagate our orchids and I think siguro din DNR has to look into this area kasi magagamit natin ang technology to also conserve kasi yun nga, kung marami tayong ma-produce na generation of orchids, syempre abundant yung stock. Um, wala na masyado sigurong kukuha sa wild. And plus, dadagdagan pa natin yung sa population sa wild kasi i-restock natin. So, parang ganun. Pero I think yung sinabi ko rin na may mga approaches to mass propagation technique ngayon na hindi na kasing mahal ang the traditional, the usual way of using tissue culture as a technology to mass propagate. Kasi ang understanding ko nga dati, milyones yung kailangan if you want to establish a lab. Pero based sa na atenan ko na sort of simplified or alternative tissue culture technique, hindi naman ganun kamahal. And sa amin sa Cebu Technological University, we have started establishing our small tissue culture laboratory kasi ako forester ako but we're closely coordinating with the agriculture department ng college namin. We will use the technology to conserve species kasi yun nga we can probably collect seed pod sa wild and we can bring it to the lab probably study kung ano yung protocol dapat na gamitin to produce and then if we will succeed yan nga mas madami yung magiging stocks and we can restock the wild to conserve ng mga halamang ito.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. I hope nasagot ni sir lahat ang mga questions nyo. Meron lang po tayong comment dito, sir, from our Facebook Live. So from Sir Kyle Lugto, I am from Davao City. I have Dendrobium, Ruminatum, Pinalia, Cymbidium, Vanilla sp, ferns like Platycerium grande. Common in our neighborhood are planted Phalaenopsis of Sanderiana of different forms and colors, which believed to have originated in our own forest. So I will try to propagate and conserve more even than not so commercially important. Ayan, na-inspire po si Kyle sa inyo, sir.
Thank
Ayan.
you to us. I'm happy that at least kahit papaano no may mga ilan na may inspire kasi we have to really change the behavior din ng mga kapatid natin because we have to also look into this aspect ng
Ayan.
conservation or a way to conserve species.
Ayan, sir. Thank you so much po, sir. On behalf of the Conserve Kaigangan Group, headed by Sir Inocencio Buot, Jr. and Dr. Maria Celeste Banitikla Hilario, very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank
So,
you then, ma'am, for the opportunity to share my
yes,
little
sir.
experience
Our
on
pleasure po, sir. Ayan. So it looks
Maraming
like
salamat.
we covered all the questions we have for Dr. Alburo. So we can now proceed with the presentation of our certificate. Ayan, sir. Let me just read the citation. So this certificate of appreciation is awarded to Dr. Hemres M. Alburo for serving as the resource speaker during the webinar presentation entitled Community Orchid Culture for Communities in Forest over Limestone of the Kaigangan Biodiversity Webinar Series held on 28 May 2024 by Zoom. So signed, Inocencio Ibuat Jr., Professor and Project Leader. Ayan, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
All,
you.
give Dr. Alburo our big round of applause or heart reacts. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you po sa lahat na nandito ngayon.
Thank you, sir. Ayan. So, for our next speaker for the next webinar on June 24, 9 a.m. entitled Metabolite Screening of Two Important Native Plants in Caigangan Forest Through High-Performance Thin Layer Chromatography, HPTLC. So it will be Professor Elia Villaberte of the Institute of Biological Sciences. Join us po again next next month na pala for our next webinar. So, pwede po ba magpa-photo off? For the participants, kindly open your cameras for our photo off. Ayan.
Okay, so we have 2 slides po. So, smile lang po kayo. Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. One more po for the next slide. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay, thank you very much po.
Thank you
Thank you
so
po.
much po. Again, thank you so much po, Dr. Alburo. And thank you for all our participants. Join
Maraming salamat sa
join
lahat.
us again next month po for our next webinar. Ayan. But before you leave, please do not forget to scan the QR code or visit the link shown on your screen for the evaluation form. So we also provided the link in our chat box for easy access. Ayan. Thank you again, everyone, and
Thank you.
enjoy
Thank
the rest of
you. Thank you po.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you
Sa
po in
lahat. Thank you.
person.
Samar Island is the third largest island in the Philippines and has one of the most extensive forest over limestone ecosystems in the country. This ecosystem is home to a wide array of uniquely adapted flora and fauna. Samar Island is known to be one of the centers of botanical diversity in the Philippines and has been nominated as a UNESCO World Natural Heritage Site for its exceptional natural beauty and precious biodiversity. For these reasons, Conserve Caigangan, a biodiversity research program, was established. Caigangan is a Samar local word that means forest over limestone. Our research program's mission is to assess and conserve the biodiversity in Samar Island's forest over limestone towards its sustainable management. One of our program's projects is the assessment of biodiversity and community structure in forest over limestone ecosystems. This component of our research aims to determine plant diversity and vegetation structure in various habitat types in forests over limestone, to determine animal diversity associated with forest over limestone, to identify functional classification of vegetation with its associated animal diversity, and to analyze the environmental factors influencing the prevailing structure of the biota. We conducted a comprehensive biodiversity assessment of forests over limestone in the municipalities of Paranas, Taft, and Giwan with remarkable findings. A combined total of 71 plant species were recorded from these municipalities, with at least 3 tree species classified as vulnerable based on the DENR updated national list of threatened Philippine plants. A total of 52 terrestrial vertebrate animal species were also recorded, including 5 amphibian species, 15 reptile species, 20 bird species, and 12 mammal species, with conservation statuses ranging from threatened to endangered and critically endangered. based on the DENR updated National List of Threatened Philippine Fauna. This knowledge will empower our stakeholders in these areas to make appropriate research-based conservation efforts for the protection of these ecosystems that harbor an assemblage of rare, endemic, and economically important flora and fauna. Through this program, people will be equipped with knowledge on forest over limestone biodiversity, including the ecosystem services that it can offer to the community. We at Conserve Kaigangan continue to further raise awareness and capacitate national and local government agencies, especially local communities living in and around Samar's Kaigangan.